Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. You're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes.
Okay, done. So let's start the session. Let me connect to the server.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Right. So what we discussed in the last class, guys? What we discussed in the last class?
Regarding
Creating the database tables,
Okay.
sales accounts,
Right.
filtering the columns
Okay.
and rows.
Okay. So we have also discussed the where condition, like how to use the where condition and all, right? And I guess I gave you the assignment as well, right?
Yep.
So how many of you completed, guys? I can see that only few people completed that assignment. Okay, so we'll discuss it later. Chalo, let's jump into the session. Right. Let it be. So it's still starting. Right. So no update from Sandeep till now. No update from Shivagurunathan. Sirisha, no update. Vinay, no update. Nikhil Chaudhary, no update. Satish, Neeraj, Pushpa, Srinivas, Sanju, Mutmari, Kirtana, Samyukta, Vijay, Vincent, Ruth, no update. Mahesh, Ganesh, Srinivas, no update. Shravan, no update. Sandeep, no update. Only two people, Harish and Rajesh, completed till now. Okay, so guys, if you have already completed, please update the sheet, guys. Okay, this is important. Okay, so please update the sheet in case if you have already completed this one.
Sir,
Right.
I am getting an error in that select start from sales when I am executing. It is object is already there and I am unable to run that query. So I am stuck in that point.
You are stuck in that part.
Sir, I have created the database, and after that,
What error you are getting?
uh, means it is showing that the object is already there in the sales, so unable to
I need
exit.
full error. I need complete error. That is not the exact error. If you run the select statement, why you will get already existed error? That is a different. Okay, so just send me
I
the
will.
screenshot
Oh,
of the error. Okay,
okay, sir.
we
Okay.
can discuss on that. Right. Any other issues? Any other roadblocks, guys? Any questions? Any doubts? Please update that sheet, guys. That is very important. Both sheets are very important. One is tracker, second one is like assignments. Assignments and all is very important. Okay, so just keep updating that one, right? So that we can track the progress of each candidate. Okay. Right, chalo. Fine. So let me open Management Studio. So in the last class, we discussed about the tables creation, like what is table, what is column, what is record, how to create the table, how to create the table using GUI, how to create the table using a query, how to insert the records in the table, right? And how to filter the records using where condition and all these things we discussed in the last class, guys. Okay. So in today's session, we'll discuss about the system databases. Okay. So what is a system database? How the system database will be created? Where to check the system databases? How
Yes, Shenmukh, sorry for interrupting.
No problem, Rajesh. Tell me.
Shenmukh, what about if a database got corrupted? Is there any class will be there on that?
In future, we'll discuss. Okay.
Okay, yeah, carry on. Thank you.
Right. So, right. So, how many system databases are there? How to check the system database, right? And what kind of challenges with the system databases and all, and what each system database will do, what is the role of each system database. Okay, so will be discussed, guys, in this session, right? So system databases, okay, I guess we have already discussed this earlier just for a while. Okay, so I just shown you the system databases where we can see the system databases and all, right? So system databases means generally when you install the SQL server, okay, when you install the SQL server, generally we will get, okay, we will get five system databases, guys. When you install the SQL server, we will get five system databases. So we have master, okay, second one is model, third one is MSDB, and fourth one is TempDB, and fifth one is resource DB, resource database. So we have five system databases, guys. We have five system databases. Totally, we have five system databases, right? So in that five system databases, four system databases are visible in the management studio. Okay, four system databases are visible in the management studio. And the fifth one, the resource database is a hidden database. Resource database you cannot see in the management studio. It's a hidden database, guys. It's a hidden database. So I'll show you where to check the resource database as well. So let's discuss each system database. Okay. Let's discuss about the each system database. So what master will do? What is the role of the master in SQL Server? What is the role of the model in SQL Server and MSDB, TempDB? Finally, we'll discuss a resource DB as well, right? So master is very critical database, guys. I can say master is a core system database in the SQL Server. Okay, so master stores lot of information. Okay, so like SQL Server configuration information. Okay, master is going to store SQL Server configurations related information, right? SQL Server configuration, whatever configuration stuff is there, SQL Server database engine configurations are there, that configuration related information will be stored in the master database, guys. So master knows, okay, all the other databases, paths and all. Master knows all the other databases paths. Generally, master will store the paths of every database. Okay. First one is like system configurations it will store. Okay. Master will store the system means SQL server. Okay. System means SQL server configurations will be stored in the master database. Master is one of the core system database. Okay. One of the core system database, guys. Master is one of the core system database, and it will also store the SQL server configuration related information and all will be stored in the master, guys. So master knows each and every database data file path and log file path. Master knows, master will record each and every data file path, log file path of every database, including other system databases, model, MSDB, TempDB, resource DB, and your user databases also. You know, right? We have two types of databases. One is system database. Second one is user databases. System databases and user databases. So in system databases, like we have again 5 system databases: master, model, MSDB, TempDB, and resource DB. User databases, you know, right? So depends upon the requirements, we can create the user databases, guys. So we have lot of other, like in case when you create, we can create user databases up to 32,767 databases we can create. So whenever you create any database, generally a data file will be created and the log file will be created, right? Right. So the paths of file means definitely it will store in one location. So in which location it is storing? Okay. So this information will be stored in the master database, guys. Okay. So this information, the other system databases and user databases, data files and log files, paths information will be stored in the master database. If master is corrupted, there is no SQL server. Okay, SQL server will be in stopped state, guys. If master is corrupted, SQL server won't be up and running. So we have to troubleshoot. So we'll discuss, like not now, later we'll discuss in case if any database is corrupted, how to check, where to check, how to troubleshoot will be discussed later, guys. Okay. So in such scenario, like the master database is there, right? So this database, as discussed, it will store the information, guys. This is a pakka interview question. Like they will ask the system databases and what each system database will do. Like again, master is one of the core system database and it will store the configurations of all the SQL server and other database data files and log file locations also will be stored in the master database. And logins information also will be stored, guys. Logins and passwords. Okay, logins and passwords information also will be stored in the SQL server, guys. Whatever logins you will create, all the logins information, okay, will be stored in the SQL server, and along with that, even passwords information also will be stored in the SQL server, guys. Other than this, like linked server, some other objects, okay, information also will be stored in the master database, guys. Master is very crucial database. Okay, master knows other database data files and log files. So whenever you create any user database, it will create an entry in the master database. Okay, it will create an entry in the master database. So where to check that one? So we have a query, guys. Let me open that query. Okay, so we have a query. Using that query, we can see other database log file locations, data file locations, and all. This is very important query. So while troubleshooting, sometimes we'll use this query, guys. Select star from sysalt logs. Okay, sorry, sysalt files. So let me open a new query window. Okay, so select star from sysalt files. Okay, if you execute this query, I told you, right, all the other files information will be stored in the master database, right? This is called master catalog, guys. This is called master catalog. So you can see here, okay, master database data file information, log file information in the same way like TempDB data file, TempDB log file, ModelDB data file, ModelDB log file, MSDB data file, MSDB log file, and other user database data files and log files. Like this, it will be stored, guys. The path, if you see here, this is the path of each file. You can see here master.mdf, master.log.ldf, and in this path, it will store, guys. Means when you start the SQL server, what exactly will happen in the backend, guys? First first master database will start. When you start the SQL server, first master database only will start. Why? Because I told you, right, all the other system databases parts will be stored in this master catalog. So in case if model wants to start, model has to know the path of the file, right? Starting means what? It has to invoke the files, right? So model has to know where is my file. So where is my data file? Where is my log file? It has to know, right? So when you are starting a SQL server, first a master will start. Okay, first master will start. Once master started, then each data file, each database like system databases are there, right? Model, MSDB, TempDB. So all these system databases will check whether the paths are there or not. In case, for example, you just started the SQL server, guys. Suddenly one file is missing. Okay, this model database file is missing in this location. There is no file. Someone deleted or something. It was missed. Somehow it was missed, guys. So in such scenario, we cannot start the SQL server. Why? Because once you started the SQL server, all system databases will start. Then only SQL server will start. So while starting another system database like model, not only model is just an example. All databases are like this only. All system databases, I'm saying. So it will search when you start the SQL server. While starting SQL server, it will search whether the file is there or not in this path. If someone deleted this file, as there is no file, as there is no entry, okay, then automatically SQL server won't be started, guys. Okay, so this is also one reason if SQL server is not starting, maybe system databases. See, user databases, in case if the user database data files and log files corrupted, like no issue to the SQL server. SQL server will start, but the user database will be affected. But in case if something happened with the any of the system database like master, model, TempDB, resource database, if something happened to any of these system databases, generally your SQL server won't start. Why? Why? Because it will go and check first. When you start the SQL server, master will start. Okay. And then once it was started, then it is going to check whether files are there for other system database in the respective locations or not. If files are there and if files are in good state without corrupting and all, then SQL server will start the complete other system databases. Once all other system databases are started, then it will start the user databases. Then finally, the whole SQL server will start, guys. So master is very crucial database. Master knows, okay, each database data file location and log file location. Master, in case if master is corrupted or if master is down, so you cannot start the SQL server. Master also stores the all logins information. Like you can see, right, each login and each login will have the password, right? So this login is having one password. Not only this login, I'm just giving you an example. So all the logins information will be stored in the master database, and the passwords of the logins also will be stored in the master database. So whenever any user is trying to connect to the SQL server, it will check in the master catalog whether username is matching or not, whether password is matching or not. So once everything is matched, then only SQL server will allow the user to connect to the SQL server, guys. This is how master will work. So master is again a crucial database, guys, as discussed. Right. So what model database will do, guys? What model database will do? Model will act as a template for the newly created databases. Okay. Model will act as a template for the newly created database, guys. Say, for example, I'm creating one database. In the last class also we discussed this, right? So, for example, I'm creating one database. Okay, something like Flipkart I'm creating. Okay. So, I told you, like in the last class we discussed, right, initial size. Why it was 8 MB? By 64 MB, auto growth by 64 MB, unlimited. Who set this setting? And by default it has to store in this location. Who gave this location? And if you go to options, some of the options are true, some of the options are false. On which basis? On what basis some of the options are true. Who is setting these values true and false? And I told you, right? So if you just generate a script of this database, you can see a very big script, right? You can see very big script. Lot of parameters will be added. Who is giving all these parameters? Who is giving all these parameters, guys? How come it is by default storing in such path, in that particular path? How come the initial size of the data file is 8 MB? How come the log file growth is 64 MB? Who set these values? Someone has to set, right, by default also. Right, guys?
Yeah.
This work will be done by the model database. Okay, so model database, as we discussed, a template means, you know, right? What is template generally? For example, I'm driving. When I'm driving, if I'm getting any call, okay, when I'm driving, if I'm getting any call, what I'll do? Okay, either I can lift the call or else I can send a template message, right? 1 minute. Just a minute, guys. Just a minute. Right, okay. Right, done. Okay, so for example, when I'm driving, if I'm getting any call, either I can lift the call or I can send a template message. I'm busy right now, I'm in driving, call you later, I'm in meeting, call you later. Like this kind of template messages will be there. When you select the template message, automatically the recipient will receive that message. Okay, so I'm in driving, something like that. There's a template. Again, no need to type the whole message. Driving. Muted, guys. Right, thank you. Right, so like that, when I'm creating any new database, okay, when I'm creating any new database, lot of inputs we have to give, like initial size of the file, auto growth values, path, and compatibility levels. All these values from where we are getting, your model database will help, guys. Your model database will help to fill the fill these default values. Okay, so once model database is like providing all these values, then automatically, that's why you are able to create the database quickly without giving any other values. Just you are giving a database name and you will give database owner, I mean to say the owner of the DB SA. That's it. By using these two values, you are able to create a new database, right? But in case if you want to create the new database, you have to provide all these values, but you are not providing any value. From where it is taking all these values, guys? By using model database. Model database will help you to create the new databases, guys. Model database will work as a template for the newly created database. If you don't believe me, let me show you. Now, what is the size of the initial file size of data file and log file, guys? 8 MB, 8 MB, and
8 MB.
64 MB unlimited, 64 MB unlimited. Okay. So now my question is, in case if I do any changes to the model database, initial size, log file size, okay, um, um, path and all, will it reflect in the newly created database, guys? Are you getting my question?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So just now we discussed, right? Model will act as a template for the newly created database. The paths, initial size, everything we are getting from model database. So if we do the changes to the model database, like initial size, the path and all, will it reflect for the newly created database?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Answer is yes.
Yes,
Okay. So let me show you that. Okay, model database, system database, and you can see, just go to this properties of the system database. Now I'm going to the file space. So now wantedly I'm just making this as 81. This I'm making this as 82. Okay. So unlimited growth is there, right? So in megabytes is there, right? So what I'll do, 1024. I'll give 1024 like this. Okay. So like this, so only data file size I'm changing, just only few values I'm changing so that we can see. Okay, so now you can see it was 81, 82, and this was like 1024 and 64 MB unlimited. Let me click OK. Right, done. So now Now let me create one more new database. Okay. So right click, new database. See here. Earlier it was 8 MB, 8 MB. If you see the screen, both screens are there. If you see the screen, earlier it was 8 MB, 8 MB, 64 MB, 64 MB. Now if you see here, after the changes, I just changed model database initial size, right? Data file initial size 81 MB and log file size is 82 MB. And auto growth also I just changed it to 1024. So whenever after the changes to the model database, whenever you create a new database, it is taking the new changes from the model database, guys. Is it clear now? So what is the use of the model database, guys? Model database will act as a template for the newly created database. So now I have a quick question for all of you. In case if my model database is corrupted, can I start the SQL server or not?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
We can start the SQL server. Okay.
No, we cannot start.
No.
Right. Why no? It's just a model database, right? In case if something goes wrong with model, I cannot create new databases. That's it. Why it will affect the whole SQL server?
First, it will find the location, right?
That's okay. That will be taken care by the master. Master will take care of all the other system databases and user databases. The location and all will be, just now we discussed it, right? The location, the paths of other databases will be stored in the master database. If master is good, if model is corrupted, no issues, right? So model is responsible for user databases, guys, for newly created databases. In case if something goes wrong with my model database, is it going to affect my SQL server?
No.
No.
No, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Will be discussed. Okay. Will be discussed. Whether it is no or yes, I don't tell now. Will be discussed. Okay. After discussing the temp DB, you will get an idea whether it is no or yes. Okay. Fine. As of now, let it be. So model database will act as a template for the newly created databases. Whatever file sizes, auto growth values, settings, configurations, I mean to say database level configurations. Okay. So paths, everything will be inherited from the model database. Everything will be inherited from the model database. Okay. Everything will be inherited from the model database, and it is also very crucial database. It is also very crucial system database, guys. Right. So let it be. Next, let's go to the MSDB, guys. MSDB is an optional system database. It's not so critical as master and model. Okay. MSDB is an optional system database. Okay. So this is responsible for MSDB is responsible for automation, guys. MSDB is responsible for automation. Okay, MSDB is responsible for automation. Automation means jobs, okay, maintenance plans, SSIS packages, right? So for all this information, like log shipping information, restore information, backups information, log shipping, restores, backups, this information will be stored in the MSDB. It's not so critical as master and model. It's not so critical as master and model. MSDB is mainly responsible for the automation. Automation means, you know, right? Automating the things, right? In case if I have 100 databases, as a DBA, we have to provide the safety to each and every database. So how to provide the safety? Every second, every minute, we have to provide the safety. How can we provide the safety? By taking the backups of the databases. Is it possible to take manual backups every minute, every 1 hour on every database? Very difficult. It is possible, but it's very difficult. Okay. So what we can do, we have to automate. So automatically the backup. See, now if you see your WhatsApp, every day morning 2 o'clock, I guess one job will run and it is going to take the backups of your messages, right? All the messages, it will take the backup. Messages, whatever messages, photos, everything it will take the backup. Daily it will run at any time. Either mostly it will run early morning, 2 o'clock, something like that. But daily it will run, it is going to take the backup of your messages. Why? In case if you change the device, okay? Again, if you lost the device and again if you change the device, by using this registered Gmail ID, you can again retrieve all the messages. That's how it is providing safety to your messages, to your data. In the same way, as a DBA, we have to provide safety to each and every database, each and every record. How we can provide the safety? By taking the backups. But is it possible to take the backups regularly on every database, on every record manually? Not possible. Okay, so what we have to do? We have to go with automation. What is automation? Automating the things. I want to take automatic backups. That can be achieved using jobs. The automation can be achieved using jobs. Automation can be achieved using maintenance plans. Automation can be achieved using some of the SSIS packages, integration services packages and all. Right? So this information will be taken care by your MSDB. This information will be taken care by your MSDB. MSDB is an optional system database. It's not so critical when compared to master model and tempdb. MSDB mainly responsible for automation related stuff like jobs, maintenance plans, SSIS packages, log shipping information, restoring information, backups information. All this information will be stored in the MSDB. If MSDB is corrupted, can I start the SQL server, or SQL server will be up and running, guys, if MSDB is corrupted?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So the answer is yes. Okay. So answer is yes. In case if something goes wrong with MSDB, it is not going to affect the SQL server. SQL server will be up and running, but the automation related stuff will be disturbed, guys. Remaining everything will be up and running, guys. Okay. That is all about your MSDB. Right. So next is your tempdb. Okay. Tempdb, like temporary database. Tempdb is nothing but temporary database. So where we are going to use this tempdb? How we are going to use this tempdb? Any idea? What is tempdb?
Temporary database.
Okay. Why we need temporary database?
For
We will-
joining,
We will be creating the temp
grouping, joining.
Joining.
cities.
Huh? Cities. What cities will do?
In table, we'll be writing the temp tables now. Very soon.
So temporary saving the data into the tempdb
Correct.
before saving to the permanent disk.
Yes.
It will act as a RAM mostly.
Very good. Okay. So now, for example, you can see select star from sales. Okay. So when I run select star from sales, I can see all the records. Okay. But when I run select star from, or else I'm just pulling one column information, item name. Okay. So from sales, sales. Okay. You can give the column name now. Okay. So that it will populate in the, on the drop down. Okay. So item name. So when I just hit this query, I'm just pulling only one column information out of these three columns. I can see item name column. Right? I can see item name column. But what about other two columns, guys? What about other two columns?
Item name.
We are filtering. We are using filter.
Right, we are
Other
filtering,
column.
correct. We are filtering. So if you filter in a specific column, only that column we can see. But other columns won't be deleted, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, right? So this has to be stored temporarily in one location, right? Getting my point? Why? Because
Yeah.
now at 747, you are accessing the database. At the, you are accessing this table. At the same time, other users also can access this table, right? So when you are filtering, you can see this column only. But when they write the query select star from sales, they can see all the columns, right? So if you are filtering means temporarily it is storing this data in one location. Getting my point, guys? It is not dropping the table, or else it is not dropping other columns. When you run this select item name from sales, out of three columns, you can see only one column. from where you are getting this information. It is temporarily creating one table, and you are able to see the table where it is creating, where this data processing and all will be done in the TempDB. In the TempDB, guys. Sometimes we use it to write lot of joins to join different columns, okay, from different tables. We can see, say for example, I have sales table, I have items table. Imagine in sales table I have 10 columns, in items table I have 20 columns. I want to like merge these two tables. Okay, I want to see some columns from sales, I want to see some columns from the items in a single table. I don't want to create a new table for that. When we use joins concept, then it will pull some columns from one table, some columns from another table, and it will show you as a single table. So this is called temporary data. This will be done in the TempDB, guys. Getting my point? So whatever users are executing, TempDB will act as a RAM for the SQL server. Everything, the data processing and all, everything will be done in the TempDB, guys. So that's why it was TempDB. Why? Because once my request is completed, okay, I just checked this column, chalo. Now there is no use of this column for me. I'll go to another table. So this has to be deleted, right? So this will be stored temporarily in the TempDB. Okay, so TempDB is mainly for the data processing. All the data processing will be done in the TempDB. TempDB will store the data temporarily, right? TempDB will store the data temporarily, guys. TempDB will store the data temporarily for some time, like until the users are using, right? So TempDB is also very crucial database. I told you, right? I just compared TempDB with the RAM. Without RAM, can I start the SQL server? Why? Because the data processing and all will be done in the RAM only. So without RAM, I mean to say that results temporarily will be stored in the RAM only, right? So without RAM, I cannot start the machine. In the same way, without TempDB, I cannot start my SQL server. Why? Because the data processing, by default, it will be done in the TempDB. Whatever tables that you are using temporarily, like whatever data you are pulling, in case if you are pulling data from different tables, in case if you are using some filters, the data filtering and all will be done in the TempDB, and finally you can see the output, guys. TempDB is also very critical and crucial database in the SQL server. If there is no TempDB, there is no SQL server, guys. If there is no TempDB, there is no SQL server. Getting my point, guys? Is it clear, everyone?
Yeah, Sharma, clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just a quick question, guys. Not for everyone. Who is this Chiango 2? I can see a new participant, Chiango 2. Who is that?
Oh, this is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel. Okay, okay, done. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Can we retrieve the values from temp table?
We can retrieve. We can retrieve means not temporarily. We can see the data in the TempDB.
Means we can connect to the temp DB and we can retrieve.
We cannot retrieve. We can see the data, the temporary tables and all. Using some custom scripts, we can see that one. Okay, so we cannot see the data, complete data and all, like temporary data, like whatever temp tables created and all, we can see that one. Right. So now, one more important point is there related to the TempDB. What is that, guys? When you restart the SQL server, a new TempDB will be created. When you restart the SQL server, a new TempDB will be created. Okay? When you restart the SQL server, a new TempDB will be created. In case the simple solution, in case if the TempDB is corrupted, you can restart the SQL server, guys. Okay, if the TempDB is corrupted, the simple solution is you can restart the SQL server. When you restart the SQL server, a new temp database, TempDB, will be created, guys. Now, Now tell me, if my model DB is corrupted, can I start the SQL server or not? Now compare the properties of temp DB and then you can tell the answer now. If my model DB is corrupted, can I start the SQL server or not? Again, I'm asking the same question after the discussion of temp DB. So now think about it and let me know the answer.
No, sir, we cannot start.
Tell me, guys, now, in case if my model is corrupted, can I start the SQL server or not?
No, sir.
Last time,
No.
some of you said yes, right?
Yeah.
So now tell me, guys, in case if my model is corrupted, can I start my SQL server? Yes or no? Just tell
No,
me
sir.
no issues.
No.
No,
So
we
why
cannot.
no?
Because
Why
temp
no, guys?
DB model is very important compared to temp DB, because whenever we start the SQL server, new temp DB will be created. But in model, other database are basically depend upon the model.
Very good. Okay. So the main reason is we cannot start the SQL server, guys. Okay. We cannot start the SQL server. Why we cannot start the SQL server? Because in case if model is corrupted when you restart the SQL server, okay, in case if model is corrupted when you restart the SQL server, temp DB will be created based on the model database. So temp DB is also a new database, right? So when you restart the SQL server, a new temp DB will be created, right? Temp DB means what? One data file should be there, one log file should be there. So in which location these files will be created? What will be the file sizes of the temp DB data files and log files? What is the autogrowth values of temp DB data files and log files? So it should depends on the model database. If model is not accessible, temp DB won't be started. If temp DB is not started, SQL server won't be started, guys. That is the relation between the model and temp DB. Temp DB will always depends on the model database while creating. So when you restart the SQL server, a new temp DB will be created. While creating, it will inherit the properties of the model database. If model database is not accessible, temp DB can't be created. If there is no temp DB, SQL server won't be started, guys. That is the indirect relation, okay, between your model database and temp DB, guys. Is it clear now? So in the temp DB, yes, please. Okay, so in the temp DB, the data will be stored temporarily, guys. Okay, in the temp DB, the data will be stored temporarily, right? So if the data is stored temporarily, like not sure whether data will be there permanently or not, when the data will be created, when the tables will be created, when again they are going to be dropped, we are not sure, right? So that's why the data processing, everything will be done in the temp DB. There are three major points are there. The data processing will be done in the temp DB, okay, and in the temp DB data will be stored temporarily, right? And if SQL server is restarted, a new temp DB will be created. These are the three main points, guys. So if you are storing the data temporarily and we don't know when it is going to be dropped or deleted from the temp DB, so unsorted data will be there in the temp DB, guys. What is that? Unsorted data. Data processing means unsorted data, right? So unsorted data will be there in the temp DB. Okay, so that's why we cannot take the backup of temp DB, guys. Okay, so temp DB backup is not at all possible. We don't have any type of backups for temp DB, guys. We cannot take the backup of temp DB. Again, we cannot take the backup of temp DB. I told you, right? This is just a data processing unit. Okay, so the lot of unsorted data will be there here, and not sure when it is going to be deleted. Once your request is completed, once your session is, for example, now if I close my session, whatever temporary tables created in this session 60 will be dropped from the temp DB. Getting my point, guys? Whenever I close this session ID 60, in the session ID 60, I ran this query. It just created a temporary table, right? When I close this session, again, whatever tables are created in this session will be dropped from the temp DB. So not sure, they are not permanent in the database. So not sure when they are going to be deleted. So that's why I cannot take the backup of the temp DB, guys. Is it clear?
Yes, bro.
Right. So what is the last system database we have, guys? A resource DB. Okay, resource.
I have a question
Yes,
on
please.
the temp DB.
Yes.
Does it get full?
Sorry, which one? Does it?
Does it get full? The
Yes,
temp
yes,
DB?
of course, of course, of course.
So how do we handle it?
Yeah, will be discussed later, like in the last class, how to handle log file full issues, data file full issues, temp DB full issues. Okay, so we'll slowly go one by one. Now, if I directly tell we have to shrink, lot of people don't understand what is shrink operation, what scenario we have to do shrink operation. So during the shrink operation, we have to do lot of other things. So depends upon the other topics as well. So this will be discussed. Okay. So generally you will get these issues in the organization, guys. Temp DB full, log file full, data file full. So these things will be discussed mostly at the end of the session. Some common issues will be discussed at the end of the our training, guys, in the last classes. Okay, right? Any other questions?
So, Shanmugh, if there is only one option to restart the SQL server if TempDB is corrupted.
One option means what? I mean to say, if TempDB is corrupted, yes. We cannot troubleshoot that one. The
only restart is?
Yes, only restarting the SQL server. In case if system databases are corrupted, anyhow you have to keep the SQL server in single user mode. So for that you have to restart the SQL server. If any system database is corrupted, generally you have to restart the SQL server, guys. Okay, but if TempDB is corrupted, okay, so still you have to restart the SQL server. Okay, so when you restart the SQL server as discussed, it is going to create the new TempDB, guys.
Corrupt means TempDB, how to corrupt?
You want to corrupt the TempDB? That this will be discussed later. Don't worry about it. Okay, don't worry about it. Slowly we'll go.
In generally in the organization, we will not restart the SQL servers.
So, you know, it's not we will not restart the SQL server. Okay, we will restart the SQL server. If there is no way, we have to restart the SQL server. It's not we will never restart the SQL server, but we have to take the proper approvals. You can restart the SQL server after taking the approvals. Without taking approvals, you cannot restart the SQL server. If this is the scenario, you have to explain the situation to the user and you have to take his approvals. Then you can proceed to restart the SQL server. Okay. Yeah.
Sir,
Yes, Samyukta.
in this result box is there, no?
Right.
There we cannot delete that any man.
We can delete using some queries, DBCC pre-proc catchy, DBCC pre-system catchy, session catchy. Using those things, we can delete it. But we don't delete it generally in the organization. We don't delete it. This will be an automatic process. Okay. No one will ask us, hey, please delete this temporary database. So in case if you are using, table will be existed in the temp DB. If you are not using, the tables will be dropped. Just now we discussed it, right? If the user is disconnected, if the user closed the SSMS, if the user closed that particular session, the temp tables will be dropped.
Okay. So is there?
Can we reopen the same session ID?
No, that is not possible. That is, if you reopen also, you don't get it. You don't get the same tables and all.
We cannot open same session ID.
Open session ID 60 again, but you don't see the tables, whatever sessions you ran, whatever queries the user ran, that you cannot see. Everything will be cleared. When you close it, once you close the session, everything will be cleared.
Okay.
Right? Fine. Right. So the last system database is resource database, guys. Okay. So a resource database, generally, you cannot see this resource database in the management studio. You cannot see this resource database in the management studio. But where I can see the resource database, if you see select star from sys.sysalt files, you can see all the databases, and the last database you can see, which is resource database, guys, which is resource database. How can you say like this is resource database? You can see only data and log. Other databases it is showing master, temp, DB, model, everything. But here it is not showing any database name. It is just simply showing data file and log file. So if you just check the physical file names, MS SQL system resource.mdf, MS SQL system resource.ldf. Okay. So where we can see the physical files, generally other database physical files you can see in this location, guys. Other database physical files, you can see in the data location. You can see all other database data files and log files you can see here. But can you see resource database here? Can you see Amazon, batch, master, model, MSDB, temp DB? I cannot see the resource database. Resource database, even you cannot see in the management studio also. Okay, if you go and check the resource database, I mean to say system databases, you can see only 4 system databases. You cannot see the 5th one. That is a completely hidden database. Okay, and where we can see that, if you see here, this is the path. Okay, Control C and again Windows R, Control V. Just remove the last file name, bin and folder. Okay, in the bin and folder, you can see the resource database, data file and log file. If you see here, resource database, this is your data file and log file. How to differentiate which one is data file and which one is log file? Forget about the names.
Using the icons.
Right. If you see the table icon here, okay, that is called your data file. Okay. If you see small notepad kind of icon, okay, if you see small notepad kind of icon, that is your log file, guys. Okay, log file. That is your log file. So in the same way, if you see here, both are showing same name only, MS SQL system resource, MS SQL system resource. Where is the path? Okay. Right. So if you see here, MS SQL system resource, MS SQL system resource. So how to identify which one is data file, which one is log file? So this is your data file. Okay. If you see here, the table icon, you can see this is your the data file of the resource database, and this is your log file of the resource database, guys. This is a hidden database. And what is the purpose of this resource DB, guys? The main purpose of the resource DB is like it will store the build number, guys. It will store the build number of the SQL server. It will store the version of the SQL server. Okay, the resource database, resource DB, will store the version of the SQL server. It will play a key role while patching the SQL server or upgrading the SQL server. Okay, patching the SQL server, upgrading the SQL server. Why patching and upgrading? When you patch it, the version will be like upgraded, guys. I mean to say it will be changed. The version will be changed. The build number will be changed here. When you patch the SQL server, the build number will be changed. What exactly you are changing? You are exactly changing the version of the resource database. While upgrading also, when you upgrade the SQL server, I want to upgrade this. Upgrading means changing from one version to another version. Okay, upgrading is nothing but changing from 2017 to 2019, 2022. That is called upgrading. Patching means applying some updates, right? When you install any application in your mobile phone like WhatsApp, PhonePe that you are using regularly, lot of updates, monthly once the apps will be updated automatically. If automatic updates are on, generally we cannot see when the updates are like updated on the app. But sometimes if the automatic updates are off, it will ask you to update the application. Or when you open PhonePe, sometimes it will ask you to update the application. Updating means just simply adding some updates to the particular version, guys. Okay, so this will be discussed in the patching class. So the version of the SQL server will be stored. The build number of the SQL server will be stored in the resource database. In the entry, they will ask you guys, in case while patching the system data, I mean to say, while patching the SQL server, which system database will take the responsibility? Okay, your resource database will take the responsibility, guys. Your bill number information, everything will be stored in the resource database. You're patching SQL server means you're actually patching the resource database. When you patch the resource database, automatically SQL server will be patched, guys. So resource database is also very critical database. Resource DB is also very critical database. That's why it was hidden from other databases. That's why you cannot see these database files, log files in the regular location. It was hidden. So the files location also separated from the regular path, guys. So this is a hidden database. This is also one of the crucial database, critical database in the SQL server. This will help you. This will be responsible for the patching, guys, patching and upgrading the SQL servers and all. So the version information, the SQL server build number information will be stored in the resource database, guys. So I can say the resource database is as critical as master database, guys. A resource and master both are like wife and husband. Apart from the version information, the resource database will also store all other information that will be stored in the master database, guys. Whatever data you are storing in the master database, this information also will be stored in the resource database. In the master database, it will be stored logically. In the resource database, the same information will be stored physically. Okay, whatever the master is storing, everything will be stored in the resource database also. Apart from the version I'm saying, whatever master is storing, whatever data in the master database, the whole data again will be stored in the resource DB. In the master DB, it will be stored logically, whereas in the resource DB, it will be stored physically, guys. It will be stored physically. So that's why generally we'll call master and resource database. Both are like husband and wife. Okay, master and resource both are like husband and wife. Like how critical master database, in the same way your resource database is also so critical, guys. So, and the resource DB is a hidden database. Resource DB is a hidden database, guys. So this is all about your particular resource DB, and mainly resource DB is responsible for the patching. Why? Because resource DB will store the version related information, SQL server version related, bill number related information. So when you are patching the SQL server, actually you are patching the resource database, which will impact the whole SQL server, guys. Okay, this is how the resource DB will work. Questions? Right. So now I have a quick question for all of you. Okay. So now you know the importance of each system database. Master, you know, model, you know, MSDB, you know, temp DB, you know, resource DB, you know. Now you know the priority also. Which one is a high priority, which one is low priority among these system databases, you know. Now my question is, when you start the SQL server, which system database will come online first? Or what is the order of the system databases will come online?
Master.
First, which database will come, and then
Master.
database?
Master, model,
temp.
temp DB, resource DB.
Okay. So now tell me, guys, first master will come. Okay. Right. Very
Master.
good. Why? Because master knows all the other system database data file locations, log file locations, and also definitely master should start first. Okay. Then my question is, master knows other system database data files and log files locations, so that once master started, then all other databases, system databases will start. Once all the system databases started, then SQL Server will start, right? So now, but how SQL Server knows where is the master database data file and log file?
Resource DB. Resource DB.
Not exactly. You're getting my question, right? So once master started, then it will access all the other system databases, files, locations, and all. But how master will start? How SQL Server knows where is the master database data file and log file?
Model.
Starting,
Database engine.
Is it because of default?
So I will tell you the startup parameters. We have to give the master path, log file and data file information. So it will take from the startup parameters. It will start the SQL Server.
Very good, Srinivas. Nice. Okay, so that is called startup parameters. When you start the SQL Server, okay, so we have startup parameters concept. If you go to SQL Server main service, go to the properties of the service. Okay, so now you can see, here we can see dependencies. Right, now you can see here, okay, because this is executable file. Okay, it's not showing here. Okay, now let's go to configuration manager. I'll show you. Here also we can see. Okay, so let's go to configuration manager, guys. Okay, so if you open the configuration manager, please be muted, Vinay. Vinay, please be muted. Right. So SQL Server Tools Configuration Manager. Right, okay. So SQL Server Services, and this is the main service. Go to the properties of the service. Okay, and if you see the service, startup parameters, yeah, go to startup parameters tab. Okay, right now if you see the startup parameters tab, you can see -d. Okay, if you see -d, okay, and if you go to the end of the location, you can see master.mdf and -e. This is your error log file, guys, error log. And -l, if you see -l, master log.ldf. So when you start the SQL Server, first initially it will search for the master database data file and log files using startup parameters. Once master database files found using startup parameters, then master will come online first. Once master is online, then it will pull other system databases. It will invoke other system databases. So as master is already online, so master knows all other system databases paths, right? So all other system databases will come to online. So this is called startup parameters, guys. Okay, this is called startup parameters. Startup, okay, which will help you to start the SQL Server. So these parameters will be provided during starting the SQL Server. So first, using these startup parameters, error log is also very important. Why? Because if something goes wrong and if SQL Server is not starting, at least you should be able to read the logs, right? So that will be written to the error log. So everything will be written to the error log. So these three files are startup parameters. So master database data file, -d means data file, -e means error log, -l means log file. Which one, which system database, guys? Master database data file and master database log file. And finally, the SQL Server error log, guys. So based on this, in case if master database files are missing from this location, you cannot start the SQL Server. Cannot start the SQL Server, guys. So can we change the startup parameters? Can we change the startup parameters? You can see the answer.
No, sir.
Yes,
Yes, we can.
We can change it. We can see the update button here, right?
Update button.
Yeah, we can say if it is grayed out, we cannot. But if it is like enabled, right, we can change the startup parameters paths and all. Okay. So this is how generally. So what is the order of system databases that will come online first, guys? Master will come online. Then after master, which system database will come online?
model.
Source.
Resource.
After master, tell me, guys.
Model.
Okay.
Model.
Next.
Resource will come. Resource database.
So that's why I said master and model both are wife and husband. So both will start at a time, guys. Okay. MS SQL system resource. Okay. So first master, then resource. I mean to say both are at a time. Next, your model DB and then your temp DB and then last optional database MSDB. And finally, your user databases will start, guys. User databases will start. Okay, first master will come online, master and resource databases, and then model database. Why? Because based on the model only TempDB will come online. Okay, so that's why first model will start. Once model is started, then TempDB will start. Okay, and finally last optional database MSDB and user databases. I'll give you one assignment, guys. Okay, I'll give you one assignment. I'll give you a lot of time for this. MSDB. What is MS stands for? What is the abbreviation of MS? Is it Microsoft? No. Try it, guys.
MySQL.
MySQL. This is not MySQL. This is MS SQL. No.
Master
data.
Master data. No. Google it and let me know the answer. I'll give you 2 weeks time. Okay. Let me know the correct answer. Google it and let me know the answer. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Fine. Right. So now let's go with the IDs of the databases. So sometimes they will ask you in the interview. It's an instant, Satish. Immediately it will come online. Okay. Don't take much time. Sometimes you cannot even identify how much time it is taking also. Immediately within fraction of milliseconds, all databases will come online. Right. So let's go with the IDs of the databases. System databases. Sometimes they will ask you in the interview, guys. Okay. So what is the master database ID, model database ID, resource DB ID, temp DB ID, MS DB ID? So what is the master DB ID, guys? Guess it. Guess it. ID starts
One.
Yeah, ID starts with 1, guys. So what is master database ID?
1, I think.
Guess it, guys. Okay.
1.
1. Okay. Master DB ID is 1, guys. Next.
model.
After master database model, I'm not asking like in what is the rank of starting the system databases. Okay. I'm asking the priority of the system databases. So IDs will be given based on the priority of the system database, right?
Resource.
So temp DB ID is 2. Okay. Temp DB ID is 2. Model DB ID is 3. MS DB ID is 4. Okay. And what about resource database then? Any guess?
1. No.
Huh? 1.
No. 1. Since master itself, resource DB also will get started.
Okay.
Source database magic number.
Very good. Okay. So the ID is 32767. Okay. So 32767. So how to check? Shanmukh, you are saying something. I don't know whether you are saying correct or wrong. Show me. Definitely. Okay. So now if you see here in the same query, you can see, you can also use sp_help DB. Okay. So if you see here, DB ID of master, you can see 1. Okay. So this is your master database ID. And this is your temp DB database ID. Okay. Temp DB data. This is master database data file log file. You can use this one sp_help DB so that there will be no confusion. Okay. So, but in this sp_help DB, you cannot see one database information. Right. See here. Master database ID is 1. After that, the very important system database is 2. Then model database ID is 3. And MSDB ID is 4. And I cannot see the temp DB ID, right? So interview question, guys.
Resource.
Interview question. Okay, so what is the temp DB ID? I'm sorry, not temp DB. Resource DB ID. What is the resource DB ID and where we can see that information? So if you see here the last one, DB ID column, the last one, which is resource database, data file and log file. Okay, if you see here, right? Let me double click on this column, right? So if you see here, resource database ID, okay? So resource MS SQL system resource.mdf, which is showing 32,767 guys, okay? 32,767. Only in this table we can see the resource database ID guys. You cannot see the information, okay, in any other table. Only using select star from sys.sysalt files, you can find the information of the resource DB. So the master database ID is 1 and the resource database ID. So master is the first system database. I mean to say priority wise master and resource both are same, but it is a hidden database, right? They didn't give the ID with the regular system databases. Okay, so they just allocated the last one. So which is 32,767 will be allocated by the resource database guys. So the resource database ID is 32,767 guys. So this is an interview question. From this topic, we can expect at least 3 to 4 interview questions. How many system database? What is the functionality of each system database? What master will do? What model will do? MSDB, TempDB. When you restart the SQL server, what and all system databases will come online first? And what are the IDs of the system databases? What is the resource database ID where we can see that resource database? And this one also, what is that? Very important question. Can we take the backup of the TempDB or not? And when model is corrupted, we can start the SQL server or not. Okay, these are all like important interview questions from this topic, guys. Okay, so right, let's take a break. Okay, so come back after 15 minutes and we'll be discussing other topics.